Welcome to PaddyCast. In this episode, we're joined by Olympian and former World Middleweight champion Andy Lee. So, Andy, I want to know something. What I ask every guest, how did you get started in boxing?
Like a lot of other people, Paddy. My brother's boxed. My older brother's boxed, and my first memories were going down to the gym with them, and just wanting to, being too young to do it, but wanting to do it, and
Yeah.
shadow boxing in the hallway, and hitting the bags before, and just running around. So yeah, just always been doing it. I think it was my uncle who took them to the gym initially. It wasn't my dad, but um, yeah, every night would be in the gym. Like my dad would take us down there,
And like,
um,
as a young lad, how many Irish youth titles in that there and juvenile titles did you win?
I started boxing in London. I was born in London.
Okay, yeah.
Started boxing in London at Repton, and I'd won 2 schoolboy championships, and then we relocated back to Ireland. We'd always had the summers in Ireland, and my
Yeah.
mother's from Limerick, and my dad's from Dublin. So we eventually moved back to Limerick, and I would have been about 14 then. So then I went into the youth one championships,
Yeah.
and I won the youth one, youth two, juniors, seniors.
And see, before we go on, you said you boxed for the Redmond Club. Now, funny enough, Darren Barker was also in
Yeah,
that club. Were you at the same time as him?
I was. Yeah, but for whatever reason, he was a lot lighter than me. Well, it seemed like I was a lot younger than him. I think he was on the junior squad, and I was only on the. There's not much age difference between us, but like he was kind of he came to the club later on. Like he wasn't
Yeah, he
like
came from
wasn't like a
Finchley.
yeah, and his dad was a boxer for Everton, so he knew a bit, and he was kind of got. I think he got a bit of special treatment or something. Tony Burns liked him,
Yeah,
but he always would train with the seniors. Um, so we never had much to do with each other, or
yeah,
see each other then. I was always with my little group of lads.
yeah. Because the Redmond was a great club. Like,
Really one of the best, and they're still. Oh, and I'm not sure if they're up to the same standards what they used to. A lot of the old coaches are gone now, and a lot of the young lads, like great at underage levels, and that was mostly young
yeah,
travelling boys. Most of the young travellers
yeah.
would always go there, and everyone was winning there. And Tony Burns, the head man, used to have a great line. He said, "The only thing that wins in this club is the N word and jippos." That's like funny he
Tony
was,
Burns is
and
like
he'd say,
a famous coach
"Yeah,
as well.
yeah," he'd say it to your face, like he'd say it straight to
Crazy.
it. Yeah, yeah. So,
Um, you said there, you moved to Ireland, obviously from London, and you boxed in Limerick.
mm,
And the club actually you boxed for St. Francis. The last person ever to beat me
mm.
from Ireland was from St. Francis, Limerick. Do
Oh
you
no,
remember?
mad, isn't it? I was
I
there
know.
actually that night, and it was your first ever seniors. You're only
Yeah.
very young, weren't you? You were very young, and he was around years,
Jimmy loves my dad.
he was around years. But that meant a lot for him to get that win, and I'm sure with all your success since then, I'm sure he's still talking about that. Still crowing
Oh
about
yeah, I was all friends with his
that.
family too, his man all too. So we're all friendly, like you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
but getting back yourself, I can remember obviously you're a few years older than me, but
Mm,
even when I was a junior, um, you know, I used to look at the likes of like he's amazing me, David Oliver Joyce. Like
yeah.
he's my favorite boxer. I used to love his style. But I can remember you being at the World Youth Championships in Cuba. We got the silver medal. Now,
Mm,
I say you get the silver medal, you only lost in the final to the Cuban in Cuba. So we can all take one from that. But I remember, and this is why I remember the story for, because in the semi-finals you beat the American guy, and you'll know better than me. Was beating that American guy. Was that the fight that made Manny Stewart aware of you?
Yeah, he was like American #1, Jesus Gonzalez, and he was
Yes.
managed to sponsor him, even though he's from Texas. Man was kind of keeping tabs on him and sponsoring him and hoping to sign him. And then they were all shocked when he got beat, And Tony Dunlop was in my corner. Tony Dunlop was the coach, and they said, "Well, my last will." How did Jesus get on? He said, I got beat by a tall, skinny, white Irish kid, and when he won, they were all celebrating with Kronk shirts on. And then it was, Tony Dunlop had the Kronk shirt, and Tony Dunlop's cousin Damien McCann, who you'd know, had been in touch with Emmanuel about turning the gym into a Kronk, and so Emmanuel sent him some shirts, and then that's how the connection was made. Really,
it's crazy because it's still going at the minute. Belfast Kronk.
Yeah.
It's a great gym.
They're still going. I think they got the name. They got the rights to the name again for another while. I think. Yeah.
Exactly. That was obviously youth days, and before go on saying that, back in those days, particularly, getting a World Youth Final was a massive deal. You know what I mean?
It wasn't done like today. Oh, since then, with the hype forms, and your team came along. You guys, you were medaling in every tournament, and again, really, but you kicked it off as well, though. Like with you getting to the last 8 in the Worlds, because up to that point it was fairly lean as well, wasn't it? You know what I mean? That was the next thing, But it was a big the only one other person I think who got the medal, and that was Brian McGee at those championships. And that. Amy McGee as well won a championship. That's how long. That's that's 3 generations. That's like 3 generations of.
Yeah.
But since then, it's nearly every World Championships you're expecting the young Irish lads to win now. So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
But for you going in the senior boxing, you're still quite young in the seniors, and you have wins against like Darren Sutherland, Ian O'Kane, who were 2 top amateurs, in your first Irish seniors. Ireland's always had great middleweights with yourself. Those 2 have mentioned, along with Jason Quigley, Darren O'Neill, Michael O'Reilly. Every single one of those boxers has an international major medal.
Yeah, some good lads. I remember my first seniors. It was after the I was still only 18. It was after the Worlds. And I was in there with a fella called Jerry Gallagher from Donegal, and he was like a full-on man. You know what I mean? Hairs on his chest, hairs on his back, and I was like, "Gee, this is funny." Frankie, what's the guy's name from Kenmare from down there? Oh, I see him all the time. And funny stuff. It's a big step up, isn't it? Senior to that, senior.
Serious?
But it was still only 4 twos then, so
yeah.
you get by with a 2-minute round. Had it been 3-minute rounds, it would have been a lot harder for me, yeah.
But your kind of style suited big range southpaw, keep all day.
I used to just move. I was an exclusive counterpuncher, and I would always have trouble with the lads who would stand off for me. At that stage, yeah, it was always just
more of a thinking game.
Just a runner.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but your first major senior tournament internationally was the World Championships in Bangkok.
Yeah. I boxed in a multi-nation. I boxed in the GB tournament. Got silver there. I lost to Guy Debekov. He went on to win the Olympics the following year. But then on to had that, and then I went to the World Championships.
The Worlds, because I remember you lost to the great Gennady Golovkin, who would go on to win gold at that tournament. How tough, because he knocked out Butane in that tournament. How tough did you find fighting Gennady Golovkin?
I'd never seen anything like it before. He was powerful fat, but he was an aggressive counterpuncher, and I couldn't figure out really how he was going about, how he was doing it, but he was, because he was right in front of you, right in range to hit him. And as I said, I was an exclusive counterpuncher, so I was just circling the ring, and his feints were so his feints were so perfect that I just thought he was punching, instead of me countering him, he was in position to counter me.
Yeah.
So he was the best I fought as an amateur.
Was his power like
Yeah,
even there?
strong.
Like still, yeah.
Yeah, I just barely hung in. To be honest with you, like I was just barely. I just did enough to hang in there with him. You know, I think
But
it was
still,
20.
you were only a kid, like really.
Yeah, it was 20-point rule at that stage. And I think I was just probably 19 points. You know,
You didn't get the stopping foot.
Yeah,
But
so I hung in there with him.
like the following year, you went to the European Seniors, which were doubled up as a qualifier for Athens. And you beat Darren Barker along the way.
Yeah, dude. What was he saying about that? I didn't hear last week's episode.
He said he was robbed. Only joking. He nothing but good things to say about you. But
who are you gonna get? You're gonna get Billy Joe in next week, and I'll say, yeah, I was robbed by him.
Say it. No, but like to get the European medal, especially before the Olympic Games, like did that give you confidence going to that kind of tournament?
It did, yeah. Like it was it was a funny one. It was touch and go. Like it was I had gotten injured before the qualifiers, and it was so stupid. We went. Well, it wasn't stupid. Like Gary Keegan had this idea for a team building thing, so he sent us up to like the Wicklow Mountains with this army guy. We had to do like a weekend of survival, and we had to like forage for food and all this and that, and do certain challenges. You might win a chocolate bar. Started like with hikes and stuff and sleeping in. And we did the thing, and like it was no sleep or nothing. It was horrible anyway. And then the next day we got back to the stadium. Instead of going home, we said we have to do a training session now. And I hit the bag first punch I threw, and across the knuckle that holds in the tendons, this little thing across there, broke that. So every time I closed my fist, my tendon was just like flicking over my knuckle. So that was it. Like that was in I think November, and the qualifiers were in January or February or something like that. So couldn't heal that, couldn't spar, nothing. No sparring the whole training camp. Went to Germany for training camp pre-Olympics, and got no, like, what the like of that, got no attention. Like it was kind of like all the hosts were put on Kenny then. For me being the golden boy, Kenny was the golden boy. He was getting all this pad work from Zoe. And I was just left to do it, So anyway, got me hand back to some weight that I didn't punch it until the first fight. Fought the Georgian, in the Georgian, hit the Georgian a right hook, and then boom, stress fracture in here. When you get that thing with the bumps, it's like my right hand's like, that was the original injury was my left hand. So first fight injured my right hand. Then I'm fighting Barker the next fight, and with Barker, I was clever enough that I didn't even have to use my right hand. I just kept feinting him up and down, feinting up, just kept feinting, hitting him with the left, feinting, hitting him with the left, and I kind of got away with it. I kind of fooled him enough by showing him enough of a threat from the right side. That, I never really had to throw it. And then for the third fight, I fought Serbian fighter who went on to be a good pro, and had my hand injected, and then I won that. And then the doctor wouldn't inject it for the semi-final, and I fought Lucas Vilicek, who went on to win a world title, and he beat me because I couldn't do that with my right hand. But I'd qualified, and probably mentally I was kind of happy that I'd done the job. The medal was good, but the qualification was even better.
Yeah, of course, because at that tournament, like the main goal was qualifications, not the medal. But saying that there, like, again, getting a medal at the European Championships from Ireland was pretty much unheard of in them days.
In those days, because and it was so corrupt, you know what I mean? Like,
of course.
It's still the same now. It's still the same. There's nothing's changed. Like, there's no, but it was mad, yeah.
But like qualifying for Olympics, going to the Olympic Games for Ireland, what was your experiences of being an Olympian like?
I'd say it's completely different from yours, I say. Like, because I built it. It was disappointing because I built it up to be something that it wasn't. You know what I mean? I'm sure you learned that after your first go around, and then you saw the second time. It's like, when you get there, you realize it's just another tournament. It's
Yeah.
just another tournament. You know what I mean? And my fight was the next day after the parade, so I didn't go in the parade, the opening parade. So I didn't get any of that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't get any of the good stuff. I was there by myself. So I had the one fight. I beat Angulo, and then I had a week, like 5 days off, and then you're just kind of in your own head, in your own bubble. And then I lost to the Cameroonian, but it wasn't until after I went to the closing ceremony, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, this is what it's all about. And now I'm going home. Now I'm getting on the plane, like literally getting on the plane to go home. But yeah, I built it up to be more than it was, and when you're there, it's just like you're fighting the same people you fight all the time. You're seeing the same teams, the same. So it's like it's nothing to be, you know. It literally is the exact same. And I think the best fighters just take it like that. You know, the best ones to do well. Like I remember being in the. I mean, I was the only one from Ireland. McCann was the only one from Team GB, and like, I remember before he went to fight. The Bulgarian fighter for the silver medal in the semi-final, he fought the Bulgarian guy called Stilyanov, who was a great fighter. And I went and had lunch with them right before they went for the arena, and he was just eating a sandwich, like a cheese sandwich and a cup of tea. And he's just like, boom, boom, boom. All right, let's go. And no, he was just like so casual. You know what I mean? Well, I was like obsessing about what levels of carbohydrates I was getting and my hydration and all this and that. And he was just like, I would never drink a cup of tea right before. Like, he was just having like, yes. You know what I mean? I said like, that's why he's winning, because he just doesn't care. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, see, you said you fought Alfredo Angulo. That's his name, isn't it? Very, very big name professional boxer now.
Still fighting.
He's fought the best names. And then the next fight he lost against on a countback, Hassan Nadam, was also WBA world champion, beat Irish Olympian medalist from London. How hard was it to take that defeat to Nadam?
Yeah, it was hard one. Like, I'd watched him. I never really knew much about him, but he'd watched a lot of me, and he was always an aggressive fighter.
Yeah.
And then with our fight, he just didn't come forward at all. And you've seen him since then. He's athletic. He's a mover. And he just moved and sprung in with quick punches. And I could never claw it back. It was a count back, but I could never get. I was never on top. It was always like that, you know. And it was tough one to take. Very tough. And I had a bit of a blowout after it, like after the Olympics, like. But it was tough one. All right, yeah.
Remember before myself going to Beijing, Billy Walsh was like trying to give us a team talk, and he mentioned yourself. He says, "What happened down the Levos?" Now you'll be able to tell me if it's true or not. So he said, "What happened down the Levos? You missed the first day, the parade, obviously, and you're walking the ring, you're pumped up, and it games for Ireland, brilliant, and some fella jumped out with like a leprechaun suit on or something, and like you must, gee, what's going on? Like you're shocked or something, I don't know. And then maybe it played in your mind. Is that kind of the story?
No, the story. I think he thinks. I don't know if it was much of a big deal. Like the first fight came out, there was nobody in the arena because all the Olympics were going on, and I was like the first person to compete. It was only like the only people who were there was my brother, one of my friends. I think my mum was there and that, you know.
Yeah.
And then it was a week in between, and in that time, all the Irish athletes had lost, and so I was like, the place was packed with Irish, and I came out, and there was in leprechaun suits running up and down the aisles and stuff. I don't think it took me out of my, I don't think it took me out of my place or anything like that, but it was, I just could listen, I just didn't know how, and Dam had been an aggressive fighter. I was preparing for that. He moved away, and I couldn't figure out why I lost the fight, and no one could tell me why I lost the fight. And I got had all that time, the few days to digest it and get over it. I got back off the airplane, and because I was only the Irish boxer, there was only one coach. And I said to Zoe, did you see the fight? I said, yeah, I saw the fight. I said, what happened? What could I have done? He said one thing, and he just said, and you know what it means. He said, Andy, show punch.
Yeah.
Show punch, And then I was like, the clouds. I said, why, like, it was such a simple thing, you know, and I couldn't figure it out. And had Zaw been there, I'm not saying any, like, you know, Billy so emotional, he was like slapping me and come on, you know, and all this and that. And I just needed some clear, concise instruction about how to go about winning this fight. Not like, you know, I was already panicking because I was behind. I didn't need any more panic.
See, with like obviously at the feet, like, but being so young again though at the Olympic Games, were you ever tempted to stay amateur because, you know, to go to Beijing and try and better your record?
I was, and like Manuel was on to me, and it was like a good offer there to turn pro, but also the sports council were giving me a good offer, but they had like, I was going back and forth, and I just met my now wife then at the time, so I was in love and all this and that, you know, and he didn't know what to do. She was going to be here in Ireland, and they were giving me good money, and it was a safe option to stay here. And I'd rang, so I was about a month or two tossing it up, and I did decide I was going to stay amateur, and I rang Gary, Keegan, and Billy, and I said, look, I'm going to stay amateur. All right, the sports council giving me good money. I know I'm going to be better, and I will win a medal. And the next day they held a press, like the next morning, like that was in this time. The next day they said, come to Dublin, and they held a press conference. And the next, it was announced in the ringside or in the gym. And it was like 3 months later, and I still hadn't got no sign of an agreement from the sports council. You know, it was still lingering on, and we're going to get that done, and we're going to get that done, and promise me this, promise me that. And I was still sleeping upstairs in the bed, you know, the stinking bed in the gym, and I was like, I'm out of here. I stayed. I won the Four Nations in that time. I think I'd won the seniors, won the Four Nations. I fought the Cuban. Still no sign of this money or this grant coming from the sports council. So I just said, look, that's too long.
That ultimately made your decision to turn professional?
Yeah, well, and as well, I probably, you know, had they got that contract done, I would have signed it and I would have been done with it. Whereas the 3 or 4 months of waiting for it to come, I probably knew myself I was just staying within my comfort zone by staying amateur. You know, I think the real challenge was going to America and testing myself, you know, in unknown waters, where staying in Ireland, being an amateur, being the big fish in a small pond, would have been too easy to do.
How did you find the transition from amateur to pro? Was it hard to get into straight away?
I think Emmanuel was good at it because he didn't change me. I thought he hasn't changed my style at all, but after a year or so, I had looked back at some of my old amateur fights, and it was like a different fighter, you know. Yeah. So it was a slow progression, and a lot of it was from the spar in the gym, and I don't think. I thought Emmanuel was very good at it. Like, it wasn't like, this is how we do things. He was like just working on me, working on my style and what I do, and just slowly adapting it. Whereas not like you coming in and stop. You don't do that anymore because it's not. No, it's not like, it was just a small changes over time. And I like, you know, when you're starting off, like me and you had completely different pro experiences, because I was fighting. Well, I wasn't fighting complete bums, but I was fighting guys I was a lot more skilled than, and I could exploit that. Do you know what I mean? Because I had all that amateur background where I could feint, and my feet were good, and I had good feints and a lot of tricks.
Yeah.
And so I kind of enjoyed the transition. All right, yeah. Like, what would you like looking back on your career now? Do you regret like going in so deep so early?
Like, you know, definitely not. I know a funny thing I was thinking about last month. Like, I asked MGM at the time to fast track me, okay? Because look at Ireland. There's loads of world champions, right? I create history as an amateur, and I just didn't want to be a pro world champion. I wanted to create history, so do something different. So I wanted to be the fastest world champion. So I said, get me the world title straight away. And I remember on my third fight, there's a fella called Donny Netes. I mean, I want him. He's like 41-1. Now, if I'd have fought him my third fight, I'd have been 2-1 retired because he'd have killed me.
Yeah.
So, but he did mighty correctly, like to get me the world title shot.
I know, but you know, like this ambition to be the youngest world champion, like it's a nice thing to say. It's a bit of history, but it's just not like you're not going to get paid anymore. You're not going to get like you're still a world champion. You know what I mean? You still get the same kind of like it is one nice thing to say, but the professional boxing is a career as well. Like you're still you could still be competing now easily. You know what I mean?
But you know what? I hadn't got my business head on. I didn't care about the money. I care about legacy. So, like looking back, I wouldn't change it for the world, to be honest with you, because I tried and failed. I could have went on and made a lot more money, but it never happened, and I've no regrets in it, to be honest with you. Like, so
yeah, that's the best way to be.
But look, like you turned pro in America. You look if you had turned pro in Ireland and the UK, journeymen here are that different from journeymen in America. They're like journeymen in America are like good level European fighters. You know what I mean? So you got a great record. So then you fought a guy who was actually very, very good, Brian Vera.
Yeah.
He's the fellow who took your role basically. But since then, you went on and you were first in the decision. You beat him in a rematch. But how do you feel about not just about losing, but about losing your beaten record?
Oh, it was like devastating is an understatement. It was like my whole identity was tied up in being like young, undefeated. You know, not cocky, confident. You know, young man from Ireland, and that was it. That's who I was. I mean, I was this undefeated young lad, and I was beating everybody, and I was the next big thing, and I was being touted as the next big thing, and then overnight, all that's gone, and like the people that were like, no, he's going to be the one. They were like, shit, he was never that good. You know what I mean? It is. And you don't know who you are anymore. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's tough. You know yourself, like.
Did you feel like you let money down or anything out there because he had so much invested into you? Like. Yeah.
Like, not really. Like, no, I didn't think I let him down because I didn't win the fight because I wasn't prepared. Like, he was in charge of my career. He was the one who made the match anyway. You know what I mean? And then to not really train me for that fight, you know, like Manuel was in the gym a lot, but a lot of times he wasn't in the gym either. You know what I mean? He had a lot of other commitments, and getting his time was always tough. You know, he had a lot of demands on his time, and I don't know. I don't know. I remember after the weigh-in, we weighed in. I weighed in like 158, 2 pounds. It was contracted at 163, but I ended up weighing in light. I weighed in 158, and he weighed in bang on 163. It's a 5 pound difference. And I could see in Manuel's face, he was worried. And I remember thinking to him, like, there's no point being worried now because you haven't trained me. You know, you haven't been in the. You know what I mean? It's not. We're just going to have to go in here and fight this fella now and see how it goes. You know what I mean? And I was beating him, and I was way ahead in the cards, but I just got tired. And he was a tough old fella, you know.
Especially the weight difference too. You know, people don't think it's 5 pounds, but 5 pounds is a massive.
On the weigh-in, like next day and next night, it's like big, big difference in that. The weight is crazy. So you know, like fighting that fella in America when you get away on that weight, it was madness, wasn't it? Madness.
Like my punches weren't even taking effect on him. I was throwing low. I wasn't a punch for power because I knew it couldn't hurt him. So I punched for speed to try and get the points up. You know what I mean? But it didn't happen. But but after that defeat, you had a good run. You beat the likes of Craig McCune, which was a great fight. And you got your chance at your first world title shot was the WBC title against the son of the great Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So how do you find his kind of style of fighting? How do you find that kind of fight?
he's not that, you can see he's not that good even
Yeah.
now. Like, he's just a cheating bastard, really, you know. And
Yes.
like everything is like, everything is, even in with the Texas Commission and all that, everything is only like is angled for him to win, and for
Yeah.
him to, like, not only that,
Just for his
they do
dad.
everything they can to demoralize you, cheat you, but they let you know that they're doing it as well, so that you like, you even have less belief. You know what I mean? Like, it's like
Yeah.
they're doing it so blatantly in your face. Like, we're cheating you. There's nothing you can do about this. There's no drug testing. There's no mess. Like, you know, all the little tricks. Like, and
And you've been caught doping a few times as well.
oh yeah, oh, like, so they just like, with the Chavez loss, it sickened me. But I knew it wasn't on the like, I knew it wasn't like, if it was like, I knew if things were all level, he wouldn't have beat me. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, but like, I just kind of like, I just said, look, if that's how much you want to fucking win this thing,
Yeah.
then you can keep it, because I don't want it. I don't want it like this anyway. You know what I mean? But looking back, like, even now, even today, like, if I see him, a photograph, and I feel like I fucking love to kill. I'd love to fucking get you. You know what I mean? Because and I like, you look at, like, Karma is a bitch, isn't it? Look at all the shit that's going on since then with him. You know what I mean?
Of course.
He's failed a few drug tests. Finally got caught, and he seems to be in a mess. You know what I mean? I don't know, his life seems to be in a mess.
Like, that fight, he didn't let it dishearten you too much, because, you know, only a few fights later, you recorded one of the greatest KOs that I've ever seen against the hard-hitting John Jackson. That's the fight that sets you up for another world title against the great Matvey Korobov. What can you remember about that shot? That was unbelievable.
Jackson.
Yeah.
It was like all of these things, like, you know, you're flying through all these fights and dates, but like a lot of anguish in between. Like, and that was one thing I would always remember in my career. Like, there was no ever like planned, like, we're going for this fight, then you got this fight, then you got this fight. It was all like, you win this fight, then we'll see what happens. And for a long period, you don't know what where you're gonna go, what's gonna happen. Like with the Chavez loss, it was like, lost to Chavez, I was sickened with the whole thing. Got away from it. Was spending time in London because my girlfriend was living there at the time, and well, my wife, she now she was living there, and I had, like, Manu got sick. He died. I started training with Adam, you know. And if I'm honest, I probably wanted to change anyway, you know, after the Chavez experience, and all of these things happened, and then you were with Adam. Like, you're nothing's really happened. No, for Fitzgerald, nothing of that. For another, like, contractually, I had with contract Louisville, he had to give me a fight in May, so I had a fight in May, and then, like, it was just bits and babs here and there. So then I decided to go to 154, which, you know, having been a middleweight my whole career, then at that age to go down to light middleweight, I haven't been 75 kilos as an amateur, going down to 70 kilos as like a 28, 29-year-old man. But anyway, I made the way. And then I'm fighting Jackson. He knocks me down, first time ever in my life. They knocked down, hit me. Yeah. But I got up and I just, like, regrouped. And I knew it was the first round, so there's plenty of time here. Just be patient. Now I'm a better boxer, but I made a mistake. And he caught me. So I was boxing, and I was boxing well up at that point. But like, the highlight that you always see is where he's flattening me on the ring, against the ropes, and he is. But if you really look at it, you'll see that, like, he's punching in straight lines and he's trying to hurt me, but I'm trying to, like, hit and punch and take my head out with the exchanges. You know, I'm trying to get down, and then I kind of pushes me for the ropes, and then I clear distance. And I'm moving, and then I was the first time wearing those Nike Hyper KO boots.
Yeah.
They don't have great ankle support, and I rolled my ankle, and it looks like I'm wobbled. You know, looks like I hurt. You'll see if you look at the replay of it again, and then he just comes in, and I can see him come from a mile away. Like, he started his right hand from way too far out, and I would always take that chance. If someone was throwing a right hand against me as a southpaw, I would always hook with them, always. You know what I mean? And sometimes it would end up with me getting hit, but I would like trade would take that trade off every day because I know that I have a good right hook. I'm right-handed naturally, and he started from way too far. I just got it in, and then like he hit the ground like. You have that instant. I've always had that thing, even with Carl Daniels and Korobov. When you hit them, you just know, boom! I knew I got it. Like even subconsciously, I didn't even register in my head. And then I walk away, and then I actually look back and say, "Oh yeah, he's gone." But I want to make sure he's gone.
Right. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah.
But then,
So.
but moving on just to a more serious fight, my fight Korobov. I remember um, being a young member of the high performance and Czar, our Georgian coach, getting everybody to watch Korobov because he was seen to be like the complete boxer, very technically gifted. Like, how aware of him were you beforehand before you fought him?
Yeah, I knew. I actually was very aware of him because I heard about him in the amateurs. Zaw said, actually, when I'd come back from Dublin from America, I'd always call in, and Zaw would always say about, this boy here. And I remember he fractured Darren Sutherland's eye socket or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he'd beaten everybody. So I was aware. And when I was actually in training camp in Florida one time, and I met his parents. I was in training camp with Vladimir, and his parents were coming to the training camp. They told me the story, and oh yeah, that's your son, blah blah. But they moved to Florida years ago, and he had to stay in Russia by himself as a child because he was such a good boxer, and the federation wanted him to stay. So he was living there all those years, and I was aware of him as a pro, but as a pro, he never I just thought good amateur, and what can I say? He's a world title challenger.
Yeah.
He's beaten a lot of good fellas. He's beaten world champions and has been very unlucky in his pro career. But I just thought, I know I can get you. I knew I could land on him. I knew
I couldn't
but he
believe
was
it.
good.
What a fight. What a fight.
Yeah,
That time you
yeah,
caught him and you followed up and pin away, I
yeah,
can't believe it.
yeah. I know. Yeah, I knew that was my chance. I just knew. Listen, that was all or nothing for that fight. I knew that was my last chance. And I had to I had to be patient, take my time. But he was picking away I was losing every round, but I got him in the end. Yeah,
This kid, world champion.
yeah,
Unbelievable,
yeah. It
huh?
was unbelievable. It was great. It was unbelievable. It was just all the years of sacrifice and hard work, and not knowing that, obviously before the Brian Veer fight, boom, this kid's gonna make it. I thought, yeah. I was believing all that myself. It's only a matter of time. And then after that Veer loss, there were years of not knowing or not, doubts, and believing it yourself, wanting it yourself, working for it every day, but still, a lot of uncertainties.
Yeah. Speaking about the Korobov fight, Tyrone McKenna was actually a sparring partner
Yeah,
for.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He said he flew over. He said he actually told me he was getting the better Korobov.
Yeah.
I didn't believe him, but then yes, Trump McKenna not the type of person to lie with that. So
Yeah.
we always Trump McKenna says Andy Lee is definitely knock him out.
Good. I think he had a few quid on it, didn't he?
He did, all right. He made a few quid on it. I was actually there. I think it was you fighting someone else. Your defense against Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah.
How different did you find Billy compared to anyone else you fought?
He's a lot better in the ring when you're facing him than what you see up to that point. I thought he's a good little southpaw. He's
small
nice little
southpaw. Yeah,
nice little southpaw. Got good moves, but nothing I haven't seen before. Nothing I thought. I thought I'd beat this fella. He's not. I just thought he wasn't in my class.
Yeah.
And but up to he was a lot. There's no point. He was better than me on the night, but up to that point, the fight had been cancelled 3 times. The training had been dragging on. It was the middle of winter, December, right before Christmas. I was like, oh God, I just don't want to. I didn't want to fight him anyway. You know what I mean? I didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to fight somebody else. I didn't fancy the fight anyway. And when you're in there with him, he's a lot better than you see. He's very narrow. He's very clever, and he punches harder than you think as well. Obviously, knocked me down. So yeah, and I sparred him since then, like since we fought, and you can see he's a lot better. You know, you
Yeah,
can see
he's
you got to
improved
appreciate.
as well. Like,
Yeah, you got to appreciation for him. Like,
yeah, great fair, great fair. What would you say would have been like the lowest moment of your career?
I think losing to Brian Vera, that first loss is like took it took a long time because um you're on a trajectory, and then all of a sudden, like in America, I think it does. I think it does. Even then, I'm not sure if it's as much now. But when you lost to lose a fight at that step, and then in that climate, it was like that was it. You know, there's like that was you were done.
Yeah,
And it took me years. It took me years to get like. Took me that was what when did I fight Vera 07 or 08, 2008, and then it wasn't until 2011 that I got a rematch with him. Maybe like
2 years, no.
11 fights, 11, maybe a lot more fight, like, to get a rematch. And that's because, like, when we did that, tried everything we could to get him in the ring,
Yeah.
but he wouldn't do it. But
Well,
it wasn't until I beat him, like, even beating McEwen had beaten Vera, and I beat McEwen, but that, like, still wasn't
yeah,
seen as, still the lad who lost to Brian Vera.
yeah,
So even when so it's not until like it wasn't until the end. Like I wasn't like all of that stuff and that, but it wasn't like really Adam Booth transformed my career. Like
yeah,
that style of training, because I had the Kronk's experience, I had the Emmanuel Stewart, all of the stuff he taught me, but Adam really like finished the job in terms of adapting my style, making me comfortable at fighting at close range, and making me more athletic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what would you then say would be the highest moment of your career? Probably an obvious one.
Yeah, winning the world title.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely like
Especially
it's a
against
lot.
like Korobov, you know what I mean? What a name, like.
Mm, yeah, and you would appreciate it. Like most people wouldn't know, but you'd know. Like,
Like, I appreciate
yeah,
more because I knew how good he was as an amateur.
yeah. That's like the lads who are in the system or around at that time. They know how good he is.
Yeah,
They know like Kennedy and Eric and those guys. They
yeah.
always talk about it. Yeah.
Like,
Who's the best you fought as an amateur?
to be honest, it's a tough question, but I know who the toughest is.
Go on.
The guy
Who's
from the guy from France, Nordine Ubali.
Yeah.
He's WC bantamweight champion in the minute.
Yeah.
We had 3 fights, and they're 3 close fights. But since he sparred me, he gave me some beatings. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
But no, but you're obviously a young fella. You qualified for Olympics in Athens, and you're the only boxer from Ireland. Was it tough, like being on your own? Like how did
Yeah, it
you deal with
was.
that?
It was tough. Some part of me liked it as well because like you're the only one. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
you're extra special,
your
but
best.
yeah, but then it's just like it's all right. But then you're there. I don't know what the digs were like in your Olympics, but it was like I don't know. It wasn't great. Wasn't. You kind of walking around and you're all excited, like looking at these things. You're by yourself. You know what I mean? You're by
Yeah.
yourself. It's just you can be in the best place in the world, but you're by yourself. It's rubbish, isn't it? You know what
I can remember because you had your camp in France in Paris,
I mean?
and I remember I qualified by myself. I think I
Yeah,
won the beginning. I don't really like volleyballs because like I didn't really like
yeah,
them all that time, and
yeah.
like February time, John and Evan qualified me. Yes, I've got someone with me. Then Dolly Joyce qualified, and so on. So I was lucky in the sense I had a proper
yeah,
team, but like I was just wondering your thoughts because
yeah,
if you're kind of the same, you
yeah.
qualified alone.
The like that's the I qualified for the Olympics now, and like people were saying, "Oh, Andy, you've saved the high performance,"
You
and
did.
then then you qualified, and
Yeah.
like then they were saying, "Oh, Paddy." So I think
We're the
we,
saviors.
we are responsible for Irish boxing being where it is today.
I'm taking it. We're taking it, Andy.
Yeah.
So
And how are you finding your role now with as a development officer? What's that mean?
it's great, you know. See, for me, I don't even look at it as a job. It's something like amateur boxing. You know, I never dreamt about being a pro boxer. I was always with the Olympic Games, so
Yeah.
maybe able to try and develop clubs doesn't make a job for me. It's like I'm passionate about it, so it makes it better. But
So what are you doing day to day? You going around to clubs, or you just looking after
full
lads,
up,
or what are
like
you
so,
doing?
I'm like sourcing funding opportunities for them. I'm trying
Yeah.
to work in clubs with a 3-year club development plan, like tailored for each club. Working on a thing called club work, all our policies and whatnot in one place, and just a few other bits and bobs. Like
It's good, isn't it?
it's good. Oh, it's a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
this is the main thing.
And would you go back? Would you ever go coaching?
I'm helping out with the other team with John Conlon.
Good. Yeah.
So you know, I would help out as much as I can. Just know that
Yeah.
because coaching is obviously a completely different skill set than boxing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even yourself, the minute you know you're managing Paddy Allen. Now before we talk about Paddy, I can remember myself. I think maybe McConlon. We were training in the stadium, and there was box offs for the World Youth. So we went and watched him, and Paddy Dad, I think you know who it was. So the one that's followed me, Jesus, that dude looks like Jonathan Evan. He boxed just like a prime Jonathan Evan. Unbelievable. I went, he is going to win gold at the Worlds. Now he got silver, but
Yeah.
what a talent. And even now, people will soon know Paddy's name over the next 2 years. What a
Yeah.
guy.
He's good.
How
He's
far do you
good.
think he'll go?
Ah.
How far do you think he will go?
Yeah. He has all the ingredient, like natural ingredients, you know. But you know, like it's
Young,
and
okay, you know. Of
there's so many pitfalls along the way. You know what I mean?
course.
He has the talent, he has the skill, and he has the power. Like he's a big puncher as well. So, like he has all the things. Just lifestyle, and keeping his feet on the ground. There's so many
Yeah,
things. There's so many like talented fellas that never made it. You know what I mean?
of course.
So, but he is a hard worker, and he does up to this point has his feet in the ground. You know, it seems. So he's married, has a child. I think that helps as well. You know, keeps.
I think it's good to have someone like you to try and steer him in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You try to be an influence, yeah, but like the young lads these days, different generation, aren't they? Yeah, they're just like
It is true.
different
It is true.
generation of kids. I don't know.
Like
I don't know if they, yeah, if I can relate to them.
I've found like I've been in so many teams, like Irish teams, through my career, and you know all the best boxers have been travellers. But see, they get to a certain level, like
Yeah,
the lifestyle kind of like dictates the rest of their life. But
yeah,
you look at Dave Oliver Joyce, had a great career, and then at the minute Joe Ward, you know what they're doing. You know they're sort of like setting the example for maybe younger towers going through, and maybe like trying to like box the games or get this one.
yeah. I think like you know what young traveling boys are always more mature, physically, mentally more mature than, and so at underage level they'll always win. Every championships will be
Yeah,
Irish travelers or Irish or gypsies in England or whatever it may be. But at a certain point, the rest of the people, like the settled people, the maturity catches up with it, and then traveling
yeah,
boys, they don't have that advantage. So it's unless you have the skill to go along with the maturity. Like
yeah,
with Paddy, he has like I think Paddy's like, but they kind of do have the skill now because yeah, they look at like whatever. They might not remember me, but like nowadays they can look at Billy Joe Saunders and Tyson Fury and
yeah,
all of those lads, you know, and
yeah.
and there is a lot of young and as well, like the life whatever life plan, like you know, traveling boys to get married usually at 18, 19.
Yeah.
That's the end of it then. Where now is they are staying pro. So
Which is good.
yeah,
Hopefully,
Paddy can go all the way, and he will go all the way. Like if he just
yeah. I'm a big fan of myself.
takes his time. Yeah, he's got it all. So he's fighting now next week. He's fighting the 11th of November. So good fight for him. He's fighting a bit of a step up, 10-6.
Very good.
Yeah, it'd be good fight. It's his first real fight. You know, he's
Yeah.
had 4 at the moment, but they're all just been,
New yourself.
handy ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But someone like him with his talent, he should be fighting. This is what he should be fighting.
We're going to do a quick fire round here, okay?
But
If you could choose a different sport, what would it be?
soccer.
Soccer.
Yeah.
Who would you say would have been your greatest rival?
Nothing personal. Probably Matthew Macklin.
No response.
Never did nothing. I never shared a ring.
Yeah, it's I actually remember like I don't think Macklin will even remember this, but he fought in Philly one time. That was way amateur, and your name is Manson. And I can't even remember what he said, but I just remember your name is Manson, and I think he was talking about that fight. But you were still early on in your career as well. Like, I mean, he was a bit older than you, is he?
Yeah. Oh, we were always put together. We should have fought each other probably
Yeah.
down some way, but glad we didn't in the end because I had to beat him,
I think both of us can retire in the fight, sir.
Yeah, sure. Might get it back on. We're still having a senior fight or something. Old age fight.
On the undercard of Roy Jones and Tyson.
Yeah, that'd be it, yeah. He's in good shape now. He probably knocked me out.
Did you have any pre-fight superstitions?
No, nothing that I'd set in stone. I'd always say no, nothing that I'd set in stone. I remember with the World Championships in Cuba, the first day I went for the first fight, I pissed in a certain stall, and then I kept every day before you have to take a piss before the fight, go in to do the same one. And then actually one day there was a fella in my one. I had to wait till he came out. That was that.
Right.
Yeah, you always do little bits and pieces. Don't you?
I know.
Have a cold shower, or when you leave the hotel room, you'd say, "All right, next time I see this bed, next time I lie in this bed, I'm going to win. I'm going to be
world champion.
Whatever." Yeah.
Did you have a favorite quote or a favorite saying?
And I wrote it on the stadium. It was like,
that's right.
Take the little things very serious and take the big things very lightly.
Yeah.
And when I did that, I always was good, but sometimes you can get put too much pressure on yourself and get away from that.
Yeah. And that goes back to what you said about the big games. It's just another tournament. Treat it that way.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who would you say is your favorite sports person, past or present?
It's a hard one, isn't it? It's a hard one. I met Muhammad Ali. That was probably one of the highlights. Yeah, I met Muhammad Ali. Yeah, that was good. He opened where they had the reopening of the Fifth Street Gym. I think it might have been 2011 or something. And I went down there and met him. His daughter's married to an Irish American called Mike Joyce, who's a lawyer. He's kind of involved in boxing. He invited me down, so I went up to his suite and met him. And then I was in Chicago training for the second Brewer fight, and it was his birthday. And I went to his birthday, so I met him a couple of times, so it was nice. But you have to say Muhammad Ali, I suppose. I don't know. Muhammad Ali.
Hey, just doesn't have to be boxing.
Yeah, no, I don't even think it's. I don't even know. A lot of people you admire, whatever. But probably Muhammad Ali.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Andy, thanks very much for being a part of the PaddyCast. Unbelievable guest.
Great to be on. I was pretty pissed off because I was thinking, when is this fella going to ask me to get this? Well, you've been doing it about a year now.
I was keeping all the boxers to last because it's not just boxing, all sports. That's why I didn't want to do boxing.
Yeah, I see all that. You've had some great guests on, haven't you?
Yeah, class guests.
Yeah.